Welcome to Sacred Magic. Violet is on a quest to bring sacredness back into our everyday experiences. Anyone can have an extraordinary life when they are able to tap into their sacred magic within. Violet and her guests will be sharing their divine passions, inspirations, and stories of connecting with their sacred magic. We are so happy you have joined us today. Let's get started with your host, the magical creator of Discover Your Spiritual Gifts, Vialet Rayne.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sacred Magic Podcast. I'm your host, Vialet B Rayne. Welcome to our show today. Today we have Tracy Searight. She's an educator, yoga instructor, Reiki master teacher, author, and creative of energy behind the podcast Ready, Set, Reiki, and owner of Feather Sister Wellness and Beep Beep the Yoga Jeep. So I love that. And so I met Tracy on another podcast with Rose, off the mat, I believe is what that one was called. And then Tracy and I did a podcast yesterday on her Ready, Set, Reiki. So I'm really excited to have her on the show to be able to chat with us today. Welcome, Miss Tracy, to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's so exciting that not only get one conversation with you, but two. Well, three if you count Chat Off the Mat.
Right? And we did these back to back because I was on her show yesterday. She's on my show today. I know a little bit about your journey, but share what led you into Reiki. What drew you down that road to take Reiki and utilize Reiki in your life?
Well, as I look back from where I stand today, I've always had done Reiki, but I just didn't have a name for it. Things as I did as a child, laying hands, as a young mother, placing hands on my children. And so education was always a huge part of my life, teaching, helping others, having a heart of service. But around 2006, my very best friend, my college roommate, in fact, had come down to visit, and she said, you know what? I connected with something called Reiki. And I'm like, what is this? And she was talking about it. And at the time, I don't think I was really ready. I says, well, you know what? There is a health fair near my house. And at the time, I lived in Charleston, South Carolina, Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. I took her to this little fair, and I got to see her have a Reiki session. And I thought, well, this is interesting. But I still wasn't ready. And the catalyst for change came in early 2020. This was right before the COVID and right before the shutdown. My sister had passed, and it was very sudden. She went into the hospital having flu-like symptoms, and the very next morning she was actually trying to leave and sneak out of the hospital, and she had passed. And having that loss, like it was the Jenga piece that was taken out of our lives. And it was, how do we navigate through this? So I started going on this healing journey and trying to find something. I always had yoga, but I needed something a little bit more. So I tried all these modalities. And finally, my friend Sandy circled around again and said, I really think you should go back and see about Reiki, see if that connects with you. And so I did a little Google search, found a school that was 15 minutes away from me, and I connected with the Energy Connection. And I got trained in Reiki. And as I learned, it was like, my goodness, this is things I've been doing all of my life. And I finally have a name to it. The symbols, some of them I have been using and seeing in dreams. And so it just really took off. My first study was a Zui Rahiho in level 1, where I did the training. And then 21 days later, worked on myself. And I moved a little bit faster in this. And I was kind of, my teachers were taken a little bit back, but they knew, both of them were very intuitive, knew that I had a purpose. And so they felt my energy was ready to go on to level 2 and then the 21 days. And I went on to masters. But that first day, I never imagined where Reiki was going to take me. I never thought I was going to teach. I just wanted to feel better. I wanted to help my family feel better. I wanted our dad to feel better, having lost Angel like that. And so that's how my journey began, and just having all of these modalities. And I had such a thirst. Like, I just felt like I couldn't get enough of learning with this. And so here I am today, podcast, author, teacher, and spreading Reiki to wherever I can.
I love that. I love that. You talk about 21 days in the program. I know in my Reiki with the Violet Flame, we talk about 21 days because we feel like that's a processing time. What is your perspective of that 21 days, and why is it really important when you're doing Reiki, learning Reiki?
Well, having the honor of interviewing so many people on the podcast, I'm up to, I think, 172 episodes, and talking to them. Some had a very long time between classes. They've had 21 days. I've had some that became a teacher in a weekend, right? It was like 5 days or 3 days very quickly. And, this is cultivating a relationship with the energy. One, we're respecting Azui Sensei and his journey of 21 days, right? Of fasting and going on the mountain and connecting with the energy, but taking time to cultivate that relationship. I almost say like you're dating or courting the energy. You want to get a sense of how it feels. And as you go into other different systems, you want to be able to tell that difference. Azui Rahiho feels very different from Holy Fire, from Corona, from Animal. And because I took that time and I didn't rush and I worked on me, as a heart of service, and you probably feel this as well. We're empathic, we're light workers. We want to go and be of service immediately, but we need to really take care of ourselves. And that caused me to slow down and work on myself. Even if I got to the very end of the day and say, oh, I didn't do my Reiki, and then just lay there. And there were times I would wake up and I'm like, oh, I have my hands on me. But making time for that. And it's so important. And a lot of people try to get shortcuts with it, but you really can't shortcut this because it's something that you really have to experience. You really have to feel and make it a lifestyle. A lot of people come to me and say, hey, I've done the training, it didn't work. And then as we start peeling back the layers here, it finds out you're just not practicing, you're just not doing the work. You have to create a lifestyle on it. Instead of it happening where, you have it when it's emergencies, if you're doing it every day, like you take your vitamins, your medication, like you brush your teeth. And then so that way, when those things in life happen, those upsets, those oh my goodnesses, you are ready and the Reiki's already happening.
I love that. I love that. Reiki, I think, is an individual journey first and foremost, right? It's about you, how it's shifting you, how you're utilizing it. Tracy, share some things that we may not think of as using Reiki, but that you've used Reiki in different circumstances or situations to help you move through different things. Because a lot of people think Reiki is just about healing, but Reiki has so many more aspects than just self-healing or healing someone else.
Well, one of the most profound, now this one is self-healing, and then I'll give you some other examples. I used it with the Honsha Seishonen symbol, where I would go back. Now, my father was dying. After my sister died, this broke my dad. It broke his heart. And so he was kind of giving up on life, and he got to the point where it was getting ready for him to go. And I had found out some information from my uncle that he shared with me. And it wasn't kind of very nice about my dad. And it was something that happened when I was about 4 years old. And my uncle actually apologized because he was 16 years old at the time. And he said, I'm really sorry. I just, we've gotten close, as Angel died and your dad's dying. And I just want to apologize. And I had to make a decision. Am I going to be angry at my father? Or am I going to forgive my dad, forgive, and move forward and be with him with his last breath? And I use that Honsha Seishonen symbol to go back to where I was 4 years old when this situation happened with my parents. My parents had me at age 20 years old, right? And so they were both 24 years old. They didn't know any better. And this particular situation, I sent Reiki to my mother, to my dad, to myself, to my uncle, and something seemed to happen. And maybe it was a placebo effect, right? But I'm believing it's the Reiki. Using these tools to somehow shift to where I was in this moment in time, that I was able to forgive my father, to say, okay, I think I got this. So I could walk in the next day into the hospital room and be there with him. So it was a very critical choice. What am I going to do? Am I going to just be angry at him and say, I'm done? What happened and what I was told was so bad that I really could have said, I'm done with you. I don't, and I couldn't ask my dad. He was not in that state where I could ask him, why did you do this to me? Why did this happen? He was confused and sick, and I just had to heal. And that's the way that I healed myself. Other situations have been for selling my house. With offers coming in and closing of a house, that whole process, giving Reiki to medication, my animals, right? Behavioral wise, if there's a behavior that's kind of, I'm not liking, I give it to Reiki. I asked one of my clients, I said, this is what you need to do. She also was trained in Reiki. I want you to go out and give Reiki to your car. And she's like, you're nuts. Like, why would I give Reiki to my car? Just go out and lay hands on it. She thought, you're crazy. She didn't do it. But at 2:00 in the morning, someone broke into her car and did $5,000 worth of damage. So you can really use it for every aspect of your life. Getting up in the morning and just saying, just for today, I will not worry. Just for today, I will not get angry. And as you're in traffic and someone cuts you off, you feel that anger. Just for today. Just for today, right? And when you see someone who's homeless and you're at a red light and you're like, oh, I don't have any money, what do I do? With asking that silent permission, you can give Reiki with the eyes, gashi ho. So there's some type of exchange there here. Would you accept this Reiki? But there's so many things that you can do with Reiki. You're only limited by your imagination. But I really have felt that it has changed my life. When I was a young mom, I found myself, and this is because my mother was that way, I kind of yelled a lot. I get frustrated, like I let things just build up and then I just explode. And I just didn't like that about me. How can I shift and change that about me? And the Reiki really helped me be a better mom, be a better wife, be a better daughter, be a better coworker. It really calmed that down in me, and I'm not as triggered as much. Like certain things would just set me off and I go, but now breathe. Just for today.
I love that. I love that. And those that are listening, just for today is it's part of a statement that we give students for traditional, non-traditional Reiki that Asui used. Mm-hmm. And if you go back and look at the history where he lived at that time, there was a similar invocation, prayer, affirmation that the city, county, or place that he lived, that the governor, mayor, some high official had given to the town. And he took it and tweaked it just a little bit, but it has a lot of power to it to really shift your thoughts. So I've heard of people giving Reiki to their food, of course, to what they drink, to what they take. Reiki can be used for so many different things. What about Reiki on your resume? What about Reiki on your car so that it works or that it feels protected? Reiki in your house or your space to help it sell or have the energy. We always talk about when we learn Reiki, we can send Reiki into the future. So I've told students, if you're having a test, if you're doing something really big or a wedding or any of that, you can really send Reiki into that space for that time that you're going to be in that space or whoever's going to be in that space. You can also send it to the past, like she just talked about. So if you know a family member that's had some challenges, that had something happen to them, you can actually send Reiki back to the past. And most people would say, well, why would I do that? Because it helps with the healing forgiveness process. It helps them move through it instead of carrying it forever. We can always heal the past as well as the future in the present time. I'm a real believer that most of the people on this planet right now came to not only heal themselves, but to heal their ancestors, their generations, their family, their community, humanity, the planet. It gets bigger and bigger, and it has a ripple effect because every time we do healings or we give healings, we've impacted through that ripple effect more than just that person. So, healing is so important, and people try to avoid it, but it's something that we really, really need at this time.
And you can also send it to heaven. I would send Reiki to my sister and to my father, my spirit team, right? My guardian angels, right?
It's beautiful because we're in this physical aspect. We can do that. I tell people today, the way the world is and the chaos and all the stuff that's happening, instead of getting angry, instead of getting frustrated, send love and peace and light out into the consciousness. Send it out to the planet, because that is something we can do as individuals. You may not be able to make a huge difference. And if you can, I love that. But if you just want to make a difference, send love and light and good thoughts, and just wrap the planet with this beautiful light and love, because you are a powerful being that can do that. And we really need that today.
I mean, can you imagine a world where before we make major decisions, we just give ourselves Reiki and give the situation Reiki? I believe that every family, one, should have someone who's a medical professional, and number two, someone who does Reiki.
I think that would be so powerful, right? If
Absolutely.
you've never checked into it, I would say go look at it. Now, in today's world, there's lots of different types of Reiki. If you go out and do research, you're going to find all kinds of Reiki. Is one better than the other? I don't think so. I think it's what you're drawn to, what you're curious about, what you resonate with, what Spirit's calling you to do. I think it's all very similar energy and even the same. We're just teaching it or providing it in a different aspect so that more people are interested in it. What do you think, Tracy?
Well, I tell people to find, this is a kindergarten teacher in me, find your Goldilocks, find your just right. When I went to and did the Uzui Rahiho, there was just something like, okay, I learned the history, I did my 21 days, I did the just for today, the precepts, and something just wasn't like, okay. And I thought, let me go to level 2. Went to level 2, got the symbols, I don't know. Went to the masters. Something just wasn't right. And I think it just was my personality or just me. And then I was introduced to Uzui Holy Fire. And it's like, ta-da, there it is. And there I felt it, the fire. It just connected with me and everything about it and having the experiences. So Uzui Holy Fire is a little different than the Uzui Rahiho, but it's blending it together. It's merging and bringing in those Uzui symbols with the Holy Fire symbol. That particular system has you go through an experience or a meditation to relax the body and then bring in the energy. Holy Fire Uzui is a little different also, where the teacher doesn't physically touch the student. You have your own experience and you kind of bring the awareness where you focus on a light. So that really helped me. Then I went on to animals because I have 6 Cavalier King Charles. That was a little specialty. I went on to kids, and then I just kept on going. So like you said, one is not really better than the other, but these were things I was gathering in my energetic toolbox that I have found like, well, wait a minute, like I got this. I'm going to use the Corona for this one. I'm going to use the Violet Flame for this one. Ooh, I'm going to use Animal Reiki for this. And when I don't know, sometimes I ask the Reiki energy. And it's okay to take it and be curious and learn about it and say, maybe it's not for me, right? Or maybe like, yes, this is for me. But it's a great thing just to learn and find out about it. Find the just right for you.
I think that's so true. Just right for you. And here's the thing that I've found with Reiki is it's not just healing. It's kind of clearing your central channels and your chakras and all of that to get you more in your flow. We used to use the word balance a lot. We want to be in balance. Here's the reality that I found. There's no such thing as balance. It's about flow, because the energy moves and it's not level, it's not even, it flows, and you have these big waves and then you come back and but if you can be in alignment with your flow and what we call flow, I think that's more realistic. And when we do Reiki, it allows us to bring our body, our emotional body, our mental body, our physical body, all of those into alignment with our flow so that it moves. So it's not just healing, it spiritually aligns you to your divine purpose, allows you to find. So one of the topics you wanted to talk about today, and I want to tap on this, is spirituality. How has Reiki helped you with your spirituality?
Well, I was raised in a very Bible-based home. My mother, takes the word of God, and the yoga and the Reiki. These were things that she, in her perception, didn't think was ideal. So I always kind of struggled. So when I really got into the yoga, I even went and trained in Christian yoga, and she still is like, well, I don't see how that has anything to do with it. And what resonated with me with the Reiki, there's that misconception. People just see the word and like, oh, same thing with yoga. Like, oh, no, I don't do that. But there's no dogma attached to it. You can come and make it your own. So the spirituality is you really have your own individual experience with it. You don't have that dogma or this set of rules to it. You can make it your own. You can learn Reiki and you can be a massage therapist. You could be a hairdresser. You can do ASMR. You can bring it into your world. It can help you as a card reader. So there's so many things that you can do about it with it to connect it, but it's taking it a little bit deeper. So taking all these different modalities and helping my spirit, help my soul, and not really having that guilt to it. And that's what I had, the guilt. I really had to use the Reiki to help that culturally created self with things because I was spoken over so much as a child. I believe my grandmother had psychic abilities, my mother had abilities, but my mother shut it off. And even as a little kid, my mother liked to go to the mall every Saturday, and I would go right there to that astrology, the woo-woo section, and she'd get so angry. She'd like, get away from this, because she's in the Christian. What's wrong with you? And I would pour over these books. So, I mean, it was ingrained in me and as a young child, even though my mother's like, no, we don't do that. Like, stop it. Things would come in dreams. She's like, shh, don't say that. She'd get really bothered. And even now as an adult, she would ask me things and I would see things. She's like, stop it. You're just like your grandmother. So, but she tried to shut it down. But these are things that are really helping my soul, right? And this is an individual path with me. Do I bring God in? I do. Do I bring Jesus in? I do. But I'm not going to force it on someone. I'm not going to sit there and say, well, we're bringing Jesus in now and we're bringing God. This is my own spiritual path, my own journey. And I'm not judging everyone else's. I mean, my mom was a big one in judging, so she'd be quick to tell you and point things out. And I really learned that that's not something that's going to resonate with someone. And I always say to her, I used to fight her on things and point out, well, Jesus did this too. He, healed people with the hands. But now I'm like, you know what? I admire your dedication so much, right? And your faith so much. But
well,
yeah, it's
all of us have our own path, right, Tracy?
Absolutely.
We all have our own. I think, coming from a Christian background like me, I had some of that influence too. And you're trained or taught that it is your job to go out and convert everyone to your beliefs. I mean, they really drive that home to them that that's their job. I love with spirituality, I'm not going to convert you. If you want to be a Christian, and I believe I'm a Christian to some aspects of it, right? If your beliefs is this, or you're Mormon, or you're Jewish, or you're Catholic, I love you. Keep doing whatever it is that you're passionate about. If you're like my husband and you're atheist, go for it. If that's what you believe, then do you, right? Do you have your personal experience? If you ask me questions, I'm going to answer from my belief system, my experience, but I'm never going to tell you that you have to believe what I believe. Yeah. I want you to have your own personal experience, which makes it very different from I need to convert you and I need to judge because you're in a bad space and you shouldn't be doing that. It's so different.
Right. And I just had an article with Reiki Rays published on September 27th about the integration of Christianity with Reiki, because there's this misconception that people, I'll get it in my inbox, that'll say, I'm going to pray for you. I'm like, great, excellent. Pray for me. I'll pray for you as well. Because they think you can't have that connection with spirit, with God, with universe, with source. They think it's some taboo bad thing. But like you said, it's a journey. It's your own path. I don't want to sell anybody on it. I'm not going to make somebody feel bad. What I liked about the Uzui Holy Fire is that Reiki grid, that has all the world's religions on it. So we are all one. There's no segregating and, oh, you're this and, oh, you're that, or you have to make it this way. So it gave you that freedom to really make it your own with your own spiritual path.
I love that. I love that. So if you're listening and you've never heard of Reiki, or you've heard of Reiki and you're just not sure, just get curious. Get curious. I promise you it's not going to hurt you. Before we say, nope, I don't want to have anything to do with that, what I would encourage more and more people to do is do your own research. Get curious. Find something that resonates. Now, believe it or not everything on the internet is true. I know that might be a shock to a lot of people, right? But not everything that's published on the internet is accurate or true. So be that investigator. Check it out. Go look at it. See what the history is. Have another understanding of it, because you may not say that's for you, and then later on you may find that it is exactly what you really needed. Right.
And I often look at it like, you have penicillin, right? Somebody takes penicillin. My mother, it was deadly for her, but for others, it helps people. So it just depends on how it resonates with you. Read about it. See if it resonates, try it. If it's not for you, it's not for you, right? If it is, then take that next step. You always have the ability to change. Reiki is never forced or demanded on anybody. It honors free will. So if it's something that you're like, nope, it's going to just go right on by.
It is. And I love that. So Tracy, if people wanted to check in on your podcast or find out more about you, share a little bit of some of the things you do and offer and how we can find you.
All right, well, you can look up at www.feathersister.com. You can always Google my name. I'm on Insight Timer. I offer Reiki sessions on there. That's a free app you can go on where you can see me, but I can't see you. I'm on TikTok. My podcast comes out every Sunday, and it's about anywhere from 25 minutes to even an hour. We had a beautiful conversation. When I have seasoned people on, they tend to go a little bit longer, but that's what's needed with the information. And then I have, so Ready Set Reiki, and then Beep Beep the Yoga Jeep, where the Jeep goes to you in El Paso, Texas. So I do in person in El Paso, and I do online. I offer everything from yoga classes to Reiki sessions to yoga trainings. I'm trained in about 13 different systems of Reiki, and I offer all of that as trainings. I do it online and in person. I don't charge any more if it's even a one-on-one. I've had some students say, I'm not comfortable in a class. Can we do one-on-one? I said, absolutely. So that's where you can find me.
I love that. I love that. Thank you, Tracy, for spending the time with me today. I was so excited to get to chat with you and to be able to share. We'll have to have you back on sometime to talk about yoga, to just flip that switch so that we can talk about another topic. I have a feeling me and you could talk a long time.
We can. We're both sound healers. We do a lot of the same things. So yes, we're definitely kindred spirits.
I love that. And those that were listening, thanks for taking the time to check out this podcast, whether you're listening or watching. Follow, comment, like wherever you're listening, because that definitely helps us reach more and more people. I hope that you have a sacred and magical week. Thanks so much for coming and listening. We do honor you. And so check out Reiki if you ever get an opportunity.
Thank you for joining us. To find out more about Vialet, head over to discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. You can also send a personal message to Vialet through email, violet@discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. If you love the show, subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. Until next time, remember, we are meant to have abundant and joyful lives. We hope to see you soon at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts.